Well, the next thing that I would ask you about, if you guys still have time, is how we can make each of the weapons more watchable. Like what?
I need like basic. I need to be able to ask like a basic. I don't know. I would say like for a foilist watching saber, yeah, there's one thing I don't get, and you can probably explain it to me in 5 seconds. But the fencers have the right of way; they're going forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, right? And then they sometimes, not always, but
You mean
sometimes
on
they do
you
that.
mean on a long
And,
attack?
yeah, and I'm watching that, and I'm going like, how come nobody ever attacks when somebody does that? Like it never seems like in foil, those are really tight calls, like start stop, right? And seems like there's this enormous amount of time. So I'm just saying, my barrier to entry as a like saber watcher in terms of the rules is that's just I just don't get that. I need someone to explain it to me. But as long as someone can explain that to me, tell me about the two fencers, give me about, and I think I could enjoy it. Like I think I'd really like it.
But
I'm a
you're
fencer.
you,
It's different, right?
right.
Different, like who are we trying to appeal to? Like other fencers and other weapons, or the general
The
public?
general public.
For foil, it's like I think the honestly, I think what the Yuki project, I think that was a really good
That is a great
basic.
idea.
I think
Yeah.
it was like that's the answer to start with. That and personality.
For foil, I think that either getting rid of the debounce time or drastically decreasing it would help a lot, because a lot of the time now,
Decreasing the debounce time. Why?
because I think if you look at the way that foil used to be, it was dynamic, it was exciting, it was almost like in some ways it was like saber, but it still had the main aspect of foil, which is that you're making yourself hard to hit. But I think that by increasing the debounce time as much as they did, it made it so that there are certain situations that it's like it's hard to explain, but I see sometimes like people will like get a hit straight on and the blade will bend and no light will go on. And
Yeah. No, that's super weird, right?
yeah,
You're like, and you're trying to explain that to your student. It's hilarious.
right,
Like,
it
in a
doesn't
simultaneous situation. It's like, no, you hit him too hard. It's like, what?
yeah,
It's
exactly.
supposed to be a sword fight.
Right.
I stabbed him so hard my weapon bent and my belt, like my blade hit him in the face. You're telling me that's not a point? Like,
And I mean
that is weird. No, that's a fair point.
we don't have to bring the debounce time like completely away like it was before they changed the timing in the first place, but if the debounce time was decreased, it would make flicking more consistent without like slapping people and getting your light, and it would certainly make it so that if you hit somebody, it wouldn't like I don't know hit flat for no
Yeah,
reason.
my only response to that before we move on to the other weapons is like I don't actually see. I see that happening at the World Cup level a lot less often than at the other levels. And then you look at it and you go like, is it really just kind of? I hear what you're saying. It was happening to everybody at first, and now it looks like it's happening, but it's not happening at a crazy high frequency in high level foil. The only thing I will say is it seems to happen more often with the wireless stuff. So I've heard a bunch of fencers kind of wonder, like, is there something going on with the wireless technology? Because there was one tournament where as soon as everybody switched in the 32 to the wireless, it seemed to be happening, like, way more. So I don't know if that's... But I agree, that's a weird thing. Like, it makes foil hard to understand. You're like, oh, just hit him and bent the blade. Why did
Right.
you get a point?
And not just that, but it would make it easier to attack because you don't have to like stick the point so like
Yeah, yeah. I don't have a huge problem with the way things are right now, but everyone's probably got an opinion on it. Yeah, what do you guys think about the other weapons? I'm talking too much.
In epee, I think obviously rules-wise it's pretty straightforward. I think what would help. Now I think this also this new passivity rule is not bad, but it has to be presented better to the.
it's a
general
step in the
public
right direction for sure.
what it is and stuff. But I think also the commentating it's has a huge amount to do with it because when we can have I just watched not so long ago on that European Championships. My nephew was fencing and then if he lost eventually to a kid who won the whole thing in the top 8, but it was such a good strategical bat for me who was in it right now. If somebody commentating that, somebody who is a professional and understands epee fencing, could talk so much about this in that meantime when my nephew was behind 7-6 in beginning of the third period, right? And there was no yellow card given yet for passivity, so he was literally sitting back on his end line of the strip and doing nothing, just waiting for the other kid. Maybe he's going to attack again because the other kid was up 6-2, and my nephew closed the gap by the kid kept attacking, which was a totally stupid thing. But so at 7-6, he was down by 1 still. He was sitting back, doing nothing, waiting for the kid maybe attacks, trying to prep him out. He's not coming, no panic, getting the yellow card, no problem. Still after that, for like a good 30 seconds, he's still sitting back at the end line, still trying to prep the guy out. Maybe he's coming, maybe. No, he didn't come. And then started moving forward because obviously the threat of the red card made him go forward, and he scored a great touch. But it was literally almost 2 minutes that was no touch. For me as an epee coach, it was entertaining because I saw what's behind it and what one fencer is trying to do and what the other changed and not attacking anymore. If there would be somebody who professionally can explain this and talk about it right now, how I am talking about it, right? That can hype people up and make people understand it. Even if nothing happens, this is so exciting. He's trying to do this. He's trying to lure him in, but he doesn't bite. But maybe he bites if he does a little longer preparation. Yeah. If he doesn't, okay, he's going to get a yellow card, no problem, no panic, do this. So it is a way to present it, even if there is downtime. Although, as I said, it's not as much downtime anymore. Although I think at the beginning when they started this new passivity rule, people were more freaked out about even the yellow card. And I've seen even the highest level senior World Cups, people are attacking because, oh my God, I don't want to get that yellow card. Now it's a little calmer, and they take that yellow card if they have to. And then spreading the time more, even if they have to score that touch. I scored it at the end of that minute, or try it, because at least I'm not getting so much behind, and I still have the time at the end to rush at my opponent if I have to rush, basically. But I think the presentation and the commentation during those downtimes is super important in epee and can keep things exciting versus, oh yeah, they're moving, they're very patient now, they thinking about what to do. Obviously nobody wants to watch that and hear that.
So I have a quick story about epee. I was at a World Championships this year, and I was filming a bout between Lamardo and someone else, I don't remember who. But in the first minute, they did non-combativity 3 times. And I actually stopped watching the bout and started filming something else because I was just really pissed off that I had wasted my choice on this bout where literally nothing was happening. But then,
okay, sorry, you finish.
Yeah, something really interesting happened. Because they both had P red cards, it became extremely important for both of them to start doing something. And even though I wasn't filming it anymore, the rest of the bout was extremely entertaining. And we don't have to start them off right away with 1 minute of fencing and 1 minute of no fencing and you get a black card. But there might be some way to make them incentivized more to fence. Maybe 1 yellow, 1 red, and then black.
You think so? Could Kornel explain that to them and to the audience? Kornel's the commentator. They're gambling. Basically, they're taking an enormous risk by doing this. Do they need to change something about the rules, or could Kornel make that interesting?
I think somebody can make it interesting, and it's funny because some people, even if it's more than a year, some people still don't clearly understand what's going on. There's a funny story.
I know, I have to explain it all the time in tournaments.
In head and hand was a funny story. A Hungarian guy, Ridley, was fencing with a Korean guy, and they go in 0-0, no touch for a minute, yellow, red, black, Korean, yay, Hungarian, yeah, I won, brother. Koreans, they thought the after pool ranking that counts, although it clearly says in the rule book, current FIE ranking. If you higher, you are the winner, And obviously, you can say they're gambling. They're not really gambling. One knows what he's doing. The other one, I don't know what he is doing, but he clearly doesn't know what's going on, And in that entire, it takes 4 minutes to get to this point, right? As I'm talking about it, somebody who has a clue what's going on can make it exciting. Oh my God, this guy, I don't think this guy knows what's going on. What happened at the World Championships between China, Japan, and Israel? Same thing happened. and they both got the black card, and the Japanese team, yay, Israeli team, yay, Japanese team, like, why are you so happy, guys? We are the higher seed. Yeah, but you used your alternate already, dude. You can put the alternate in, so we won. Sure. See, if somebody presents this thought, exactly, funny, exciting, oh, these people are so stupid, these people are so smart, you can make it a good story. But you have to have a personality to do that, and I think there are a bunch of people out there who could do this right. Some fencers who already retired and then would be interested to do this. Like, what are we talking about? We're talking about 8 World Cups and World Championships and maybe zonals.
Mm-hmm.
10 occasions a year. For some, they get their travel paid and they get a few $100s, and depending on where you're coming from, $200-300 honorarium would make you super happy to do this,
Yeah. What about sabre?
Our sport's basically perfect, so there's not a lot you need to do. I think that the biggest problem with making sabre spectator friendly is what we talked about before, which is the subjectivity in that, I could watch, if I'm somebody that doesn't know anything about fencing, which I am, and I'm watching a bout, and then I'm like, okay, well, that's what the rules are. And then I go to the next bout with a different referee, and I'm like, wait a second, that's not what that was last bout. That's not, and I think that's another thing, just like you guys said with the passivity rule, that falls on the shoulders of the spectator, the commentator, I'm sorry. If I'm commentating and I'm noticing that, let's say that I'm reffing Andrew, okay, and he fenced he fenced his last bout with a certain referee that was giving him an attack in preparation, and then the referee in the next bout isn't giving him that attack in preparation. It's my job to go, say something along the lines of, Fischl was getting the touch last time, but now this referee isn't quite feeling his attack in preparation. It'll be interesting to see how Fischl adjusts. And then that leads into, the adjustment and communicating to people what I think is the interesting part of sabre, which is the adjustment, right? And I think that, but it's just, again, it's just so much responsibility falls on the shoulders of the commentator.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. So in sabre, how much how tightly the simultaneous actions are called? How much does it vary from referee to referee at a World Cup level?
Oh, man. Hold on. Let me go get my rant box real quick so I can stand on top of it.
It changes a lot, and the lower the level of the competition, the more variance there will be.
For sure. But like at the level we're talking about maybe publicizing, like junior or senior World Cup, is it the kind of thing where you go, okay, I got a French referee, I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking more at this. I've got a Chinese referee, they'll be looking more at this. Or is it like, I don't know, how standardized is it and how...
It just varies from referee to referee. Some referees will call very hand-heavy attacks. I've seen people literally just basically stand on the on-guard line. Their opponent makes a straight attack, and they just, really fast jab their hand out. And, I'm dumbing it down. Obviously, it doesn't look that bad, but that's the essence of what they're doing. And the referee goes, oh, his hand was so much faster. Very clearly, that's his attack. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen people prioritize the feet. I've seen people, prioritize body language. I've seen people prioritize what they saw in another bout somewhere because there's no way they can that bout. So it's just it's pretty subjective. Even I think at the levels that we would talk about publicizing, and again, that's just the subjectivity of the sport, and that's an inherent hurdle that no matter what we do and no matter what the personality is, that's always going to be there, and that's just one of those things that the personality will have to be ready to overcome and explain. And I think with a good commentator, I think that's very easily done. I think there's an easy spin on that. But I think that it would be interesting. I feel like one of the kind of side effects that would come from taking fencing to more mainstream and putting it out more, would be that I think the level of refereeing would increase, because nobody wants to be that referee that is just completely pulling calls out of their nether regions for the whole world to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it encourages, I think, referees to go back and review and learn. If they're going to go, okay, I'm going to get put on the spot this tournament, I don't want to make too many mistakes. I mean, we all know there's always going to be mistakes, but
It's
there's
human nature,
the
unfortunately.
acceptable level of mistakes,
Yep.
and then there's the why do you hate me level of mistakes, and that's what we kind of want to avoid. So it's just a lot of benefits to be had from taking fencing to a more spectator-friendly sport, but a lot of obstacles to overcome along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let me add.
Sorry.
Let me add something. No, I was shocked actually. Like a few years ago when I first went to World Championships, kind of like an official part of the U.S. team, and I know that before World Championships they always have like an arbitrage committee meeting, right? And then our arbitrage member comes in and they says, "Okay, this is what I heard. This is what's going to happen." Okay, so let's say just for one simple example. Is okay, they told us that if somebody steps off the strip by 1 foot but put the foots back right away, the referee is not going to call hold. And it's like literally, it's crazy because the rule book says, okay, if you step off the strip by 1 foot, that's like a penalty. You're losing 1 meter, right? And now the referee will call hold if you are at the very end of the strip because you lose a meter, then your opponent gets a point. Or he's not going to call hold because you're too close to the end, and they don't want the other guy to get a point that easily. So it's crazy that many times what happens is right before the main event, we had 8 World Cups, we had Zone Championships, and then right before the World Championships, they bending the rule this way or they bending the rule that way. I remember once in Sabre,
you're in one of the right-of-way weapons.
Imagine exactly that's what I'm saying. Once in Sabre, they said, okay, if your hand coming from the low line, they're not going to call it an attack if somebody's against somebody who's coming on the top.
That was laughed away pretty quickly, but yes, it's true.
Yeah, but these are crazy things that FIE sometimes right before the World Championships they're bending the rule a little. This is how they're going to call it now. They're not going to call this an attack anymore, just this. And the whole year you fenced one way and everything was fine, and now even the referees are confused because they tell them, okay, now on you do it this way.
It feels like in foil, right? Like I feel that they've done a pretty good job. I don't have major issues with the whole attack. Kornel, you disagree with me, but the attack and preparation stuff, the way it's being called, generally speaking, makes sense to me. Like I can accept it. It seems relatively consistent, relatively. Someone's a little looser than someone else, but the beat attack pair or post stuff in foil is, I don't know what it's like in Sabre, if this is a topic of discussion, but there was a period of time where the rules were heavily favoring beat attack, and now there's some kind of like movement towards calling more pair or post, but it's not been clearly articulated to anyone, like what for what reason and in what circumstance. So we just have to kind of watch it and be like, it seems like if you do it this way, they call it pair or post, and if you do it this way, they call it beat attack, to the point where at the World Cups, in a critical bout, you're like, beat the blade this way, not this way. Because when you beat it this way, it's pair or post. When you beat it this way, it's beat attack. Or like, it's a little bit weird. That's.
What do you guys think about at World Championships, obviously, and Olympics? I think it would be easier to do it because it's a whole preset room and video and stuff for that. I was talking to somebody about this like many years ago already. To have replays, especially in the right-of-way weapons, from the top, where you can actually see, I'm taking a parry, or I'm beating the blade, so you can see more, okay, who was more kind of going for that blade really. This guy went like 3/4 of the way, this guy only went 1/4 of the way. That's really a beat attack, not a pair repost. But you can really see this only from the top.
I've never seen it, so I'd like to see it.
I think that would be a very good tool for the referee.
I mean, that's what football does. Football has, when they go for the replays, they have different angles.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, with football, this year happened once, or this past season, and I couldn't believe I have a screenshot and a video when I think Detroit played Green Bay, and they played it in Detroit, and Green Bay had a pass. Aaron Rodgers had a pass, 35-yard pass, and clearly the guy is down, and the ball is short to the goal line at least half a yard, and they looked at the replays because it was a scoring play called a touchdown in New York City, in the headquarters of NFL, and they still called it a touchdown. I was shocked. I'm like, how is this possible? What are we talking about in fencing? If in NFL, but it's like a multi-billion-dollar business.
I've actually got
like 50 cameras on the field. They're not getting it right. You know,
so
it was the funny side story.
So there was a final one time between Pizzo and I think it was Park, where Pizzo took the blade and as Park ran past him, he tried to hit around himself, and there was a light, and Park asked for replay, said that Pizzo hit himself. So the referees go and look, but in the main video, it's very, very difficult to tell because from this angle, like the light is happening over here, but it's in such a way that the referees can't really see that. And while the referees are having this long discussion, the TV showed it from a different angle where you could very clearly see Pizzo hit himself in the leg and like the point bends and like it's very obvious, but not from the main angle. And why can't we have those angles available?
Exactly.
That
We should have
with
it.
covering target.
Yes, exactly.
So it depends on what side of the strip you're on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're either lucky or unlucky in that respect, because if there's, especially around when there's not video replay, but even when there is video replay, if you're on the wrong side, it's not so hard to, or not so easy to see, right? So you have these instances. There was about, I don't think they had video for this. There's a French tournament every year that all these international fencers go to, and race fenced this French guy, Elise. And there's an action where I think he parried or something and brought his blade around. They're both left-handed, and Elise is on the right-hand side of the camera. And Race, in my opinion, like clearly hits him in the arm. And his arm is in front of his target. Like he clearly hits him right in the arm, right? And no card. And Race is freaking out. He's like, what did I hit him? Like, where did I hit him? What did I touch? And the referee's like, oh, you hit him in the leg or something. And it's like, if they had been on the opposite sides, and the guy already had a yellow card.
It would have been obvious.
It was 14-14.
Yeah.
And if the guy was on the other side of the strip, 100%, it would have been red card, bout over, right?
Yeah.
I have a question about this. Just a quick question about this. What exactly you just said? Because back a while ago when I was growing up and watching all the World Cups in Hungary, I could as a kid, women's foil, men's foil, anything, literally. Would this call be if the guy was covering the target and he got hit on the arm and he had a yellow card? Would it be a red card and a touch?
I've yet to see. I've seen that once or twice. That is what it should be.
What it should be, right?
But it seems for whatever reason, and I would argue even the card is given more often when, like, I just don't see that being given, and I disagree with that. Like I agree with you. I think it should be.
You mean?
And it's some, like, so I covered what he's saying is like I have my arm here and you hit my arm.
It should be a touch.
It should be a touch and
the card.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be just a touch.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if I already had a yellow card, it should be 2.
I know that is a rule, but like you, I've actually never seen that enforced.
Yeah.
They'll just give a card and that's it.
And it's crazy to me that, like, there are fencers who everybody knows when they take parry 4, basically, they're going to do it with both arms. And you go to the tournament basically knowing that. And if you, like, and it seems ridiculous that, and there's all these different arguments, right? I heard Dan saying, like, he was kind of giving his impression of what he thinks is being looked at, and he's like, yeah, well, if it's not on your lame, it doesn't seem like they're giving a card for it. But how weird is that? Like, this isn't covering target.
Yeah, when he said that to me, I also thought that was weird.
No, but I
like,
don't think I'm not saying that he's wrong about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't looked at it from that perspective, but that might be totally true.
Yeah, totally. But like, this is covering target. Even if I'm not touching my lame, like, this is still making it hard for you to. You know what I mean?
Well, in the infighting situations, you have so many times where you see it, where I parry and I'm fencing someone right-handed, and their arm is like this, and I hit them in the back arm, and it's off target. And typically, usually, in my experience, there's no card given, and there should be, like Kornel said, it should be a touch and a card, but you just kind of live with it after a while. And then you're like, wait a second, why am I teaching my beginners to put their arm, like, back here? Shouldn't we? Maybe we should teach parry 4 with, like, both arms or something. I don't know. But
Do any of you guys have anything else to say about making fencing more watchable before we end today?
I have one more thing. I think it's somebody should put this out there, and I think that was your idea behind this whole conversation, that this is kind of the time when everybody can be brainstorming about this and collect all these ideas, pick out the realistic ones, right? And try to talk to, maybe not to FIE right away, but we can try to talk to USFA, try that maybe on a reasonable level event like a ROC or a super youth circuit or something where we can try out a couple of ideas what we're talking about here, and eventually maybe on one of the next when we're commentating and having maybe a timeout, maybe not in the Olympic year obviously, but next year or the year after actually will be we will see how it goes, whatever.
Yeah.
But to try to collect the ideas and pick the reasonable ones and try it out, or suggest it to FIE, suggest it to US Fencing. We're trying to do something here in the meantime to make things better, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to add, I was years ago I suggested this, that we have that's about refereeing, and then I think it would be a great tool for athletes and for referees and for coaches as well, to create a database based on those bats that was starting from the top 16. I'm talking about US Fencing now. Top 16, all those bats went on video, senior, junior, cadet level, for sure. Every touch that was challenged, okay? 2 categories. Challenge was a reversed call, non-reversed call. And make a database, sabre, foil, epee, referees, censors, coaches can look through it and see, okay, this is something that we should look out for. Because I remember at the beginning when this started, what happened is I was watching at the bats and I see, okay, this is definitely, she was off the strip. By the time I go, call the video. She calls the video, I'm looking, sneaking up behind the video, and I'm like, oh, shoot, she was actually on the strip. So by now I know when touches, those kind of touches, passing, stepping on the strip, second, first strip, was whatever, when it's close, it's always good. I tell my guys, look at me before they call the video, because I'm going to tell you it's good or not good. If it's close, it's always a good touch. Don't argue it. Let it go. It has to be super obvious, right? But it's based on the experience. I was watching these videos, and I saw it in the tournaments. Now, this could be a very good tool for our referees and the fencers also to learn from it when we can call the video, when we call the touch, what we're not calling the touch, because it's obviously it takes time to realize, okay, the light is gone off. Where's the guy now? Okay, if he's just barely stepped off the strip, probably by the light went off, he was clearly on the strip, so I call it a touch. Many times referees call it a non-touch because they just realize the guy is standing next to the strip. But I think it's also a good time that people are sitting at home, somebody has all these videos recorded, all these questionable touches, that we could create a database.
It's a cool idea. Very cool.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
You're
Maybe-
welcome.
man.
Maybe
Sure.
something
I
from
was
this.
super busy. I had a
Any
lot of
other
places to
ideas
go
you
today.
have, Andrew, I'm happy to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's amazing to me how many fencers or people in the fencing community are totally willing to participate in this kind of thing. I think, because we love fencing, right? And everybody sees it as a way of, helping this platform of growing the sport. And, Andrew, you've provided a very easy to engage with platform for all of these fencers, even international fencers now I see you're doing more and more with.
Yeah.
And I think we just have to keep talking to each other, keep engaging with each other in a way that everyone can see. Like you said, Kornel, we're all basically doing the same thing right now. We have time to talk about it. So we have to be a community and put our ideas out there. I think good things will happen.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'm trying my best. Thanks for coming,
Try
guys.
harder, Andrew.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Stay safe, and I hope to see you around.
Yeah,
Thank
totally.
you. You too, guys.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, later.
Ciao.